Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the LaunchPad Associate Workshop Series presented by the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA. This afternoon, we are very excited to have Tom Coppola. He's a PGA member from Roseville. He's actually heading up a Golftec operation up there. He's been instructing there for almost 2 years. He's got a storied instructional background and resume given his short time in membership. He was also the lead instructor for Topgolf, taught 450, 500 lessons over the summer, a year back or so. Prior to that, he was also running the first tee program at Hagen Oaks in Sacramento, which of course is a famed golf location in the Central Valley, both from a size of a golf operation run by the Morton boys. But he was heading up the first tee program there. And here he is joining us on the LaunchPad Associate Workshops, presenting on teaching and coaching. Tom Coppola, thank you very much for being with us this afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for the kind words and that introduction there. That was awesome.
No, thank you. It's all yours. Take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, so happy to be here. This is the first time I've done something like this. I really enjoyed going through the PGM school up at the University of Idaho, and I always enjoyed teaching and giving instruction on literally anything. So the fact that I get to do it for PGA members and associates, that's awesome. So we're going to be talking about teaching and coaching today. Let me give you a little bit of an introduction. I know he just did, but I'll kind of hit on it. So I started working at Hagen Oaks when I was 14 years old. I got paid in shop credit, of all things, for the first year. And then I transitioned into actual money, which was nice. So I worked on their floor. I was an instructor. I did the first tee thing. It was really awesome. Kind of got me to continue my love for the game and decided I needed to go to school for it. So I went to the University of Idaho, graduated in 4 years, and had a blast. Even though I was up in dark, cold Idaho instead of sunny California, it was still fun. I then worked at Martis Camp in Truckee. So I was in charge of their junior programs up there. If you don't know what Martis Camp is, that's kind of the point. They don't want you to know who they are because they're very exclusive, very nice country club. Gus Jones is another big PGA member that you may have heard of. He's awesome to work with. Finally, my last internship, I spent 2 summers at Topgolf in Salt Lake City. Really good opportunity to get some instruction in. So I really enjoyed that. I'm now a full PGA member since 2020, about July 2020, and I am a certified personal coach at Golftec. So if you don't know what Golftec is, it's the biggest instruction indoor facility in the world. We've taught over 12 million lessons. I'm going to do about 2,000 lessons this year. So I've seen pretty much every bad golf swing there is. So kind of getting into what we're going to be discussing, there's 3 main parts to this. There's learning, teaching, and the game. That's really important as a PGM associate or a PGA associate, excuse me. It's very important for us to know this game like the back of our hands and be able to teach our students or prospective students and kind of grow the game that way. The only way we get more members, we get more business in the golf industry is if people are playing the game and they always have more fun when they're playing well. So let's talk about some of these outcomes. So know how students learn and process golf knowledge and skills and identify implications for teaching, right? That's pretty broad of a statement, but basically what you're trying to do as a golf instructor is we have to know how our students are going to listen to us and be able to apply what we're then going to teach them. So it talks about in the manual, what goes on with, is somebody an auditorial learner? Are they visual, or do they need physical movement to get them to do what we're asking? In my experience, every single golf student that I've ever dealt with can understand what I'm saying. They just physically can't do it. So knowing how your student or whoever you're talking to learns the best is going to help you become a better teacher. That kind of leads into, what what exactly are we trying to get them to do? Most of the people that you're going to be teaching are going to be able to understand that I need them to shallow out the club path or do different things with their club face. Their body will not let them do that. So to that second bullet point, we have to be able to make sure they understand it and understand that it may take a little bit for them to perform the skills that we need them to learn. That's a big thing that I think a lot of inexperienced coaches don't get. We want to see those results, and they're not always going to happen. We just need to make the student believe and understand in what we're doing. When we get into junior golfers, it changes a little bit because they haven't fully developed their skills as, humans, let alone athletes. So understanding how juniors learn this game is very important. We need to understand that they're going to do it kind of their own way. We can only ever suggest certain things to help them. And that relates into how you're going to structure their lessons, which we'll talk about later. The physical evaluation part of it, a big thing with the first tee is fitness and being able to develop our bodies. In fact, the first tee recommends that we don't do a lot of specialized instruction with juniors until they're about 13, because they just can't figure it out with their bodies and their brain. They're not talking to one another. So the younger juniors are going to do whatever they want, and we kind of just have to let them do that. But we can kind of build their bodies up to be balanced, strong, and flexible to when they know where their left hand is in space. It's game time. Let's get them hitting the ball much better. Moving on here, this is really about, you kind of developing a relationship and being able to communicate successfully to your student. Obviously, as a PGA member, I like to believe that we're all pretty good with communicating, right? We don't struggle to strike up a dialogue. We can talk to just about anybody in the room, and that makes us be effective in growing the game and helping everyone at our club, course, wherever you're at, feel welcome and be able to, do different things. So, there are different relationships that I have with my students. I have about 150 students. I try to keep it all very, very professional, but at the same time, there are certain ways that I have to teach certain students, and I have to be a little bit more aggressive or a little bit more stern with certain students, where I have a lot of younger students that can't handle that, and we have to kind of guide them slower to make them feel better about their game. This kind of goes into how well as a coach can I, read what I need them to do and effectively communicate that to them. So I have to be able to make sure that what I want out of this lesson is, stated and is clear. And I also have to make sure that I'm taking in what they want to learn as well. We tend to run into the problem of these guys want to just work on drivers. And as a coach, we know that that's really not going to do much until we can fix their irons. So being able to walk that line is going to be helpful to you guys. The format for an effective golf lesson. This is really important, but it's interpreted 1,000 different ways. I think the PGA gives you a great outline for you to be able to kind of tweak it a little bit and make sure that you understand that there's structure, but you can have fun with it, right? We obviously want to have that introduction and closing. We want to save, a good amount of time to be able to introduce yourself if you've never met them, or reintroduce what you were working on in a past lesson. And then you want to move on to, you want to turn it over to them. You want them to be talking during the lesson. You want to hear what they're experiencing, what they think is wrong, what they think the golf ball is doing, and why. Going through that and then making a decision of, okay, I've seen what's going on. Here's what I want to do. Let's do it. See if it's working. If it's working, let's keep doing it. And then if we want to change anything, let's do that. I think it's very important to focus on 1 to 2 things in a lesson, because you can kill them with knowledge faster than you know what to do with. And that's not going to help anybody. And that's going to kind of make you come off as a bad instructor as well. Now, explanations and demonstrations in your golf lesson are super important. I think anybody who's watching this, even if you maybe haven't gone through your PAT and you're not the best player yet, we all can hit better golf shots than anybody who's coming in for this level 1 beginner lesson. So being able to demonstrate is important, but if you can effectively use your words to explain what's going on, and what needs to happen in a golf swing, that is by far one of the best skills you can have as a coach. We just spent a year and a half without getting within 6 feet of our students. It's so difficult to be able to tell somebody what to do with their club. It's easier to just get in there and move it physically, or to just demonstrate it, but that's not always the best option. Learning how to use your words is going to make you a better coach, just period. And then this is something that you have to do as a coach, and I think you should have to do this in pretty much any profession, is self-assessment. You're going to record yourself teaching for one of these work experience activities, and it's so important that you watch them and you see what's going on. You want to see, hey, am I talking too much? Am I using too much of verbal explanations? Am I not getting in there and making sure they understand it? Am I not is the student paying attention to me? You can look at their body language and see if they're paying attention to what you're saying, or if they don't understand because they're not on the same level as you, or as knowledge. So being able to do that self-assessment is huge. Oftentimes it sucks to watch yourself talk and watch yourself do your job, but you will get better for sure. Now we're going to get into the game outcome. So this is going to be a little bit more, detail oriented. It's kind of tedious in some perspectives for what we're going to do, but it's important that we know what's going on. So as of 2.0, the PGA actually had it wrong with what's going on with club path and club face position to, be able to help a golfer get better. The correct way is that the club face deflects the golf ball to the starting direction, and then that path is going to change the spin to that. So it's important that you guys realize that and kind of study that a little bit more. But that's what changes the curve. If we don't know where the curve is on the student's swing or on their golf shot, we got a problem, right? If they're hitting it solid and the curve's the wrong way, we got to start fixing that. So we have to come up with different ways to assess that, right? We have to have different ways to show what they're doing with their irons, what they're doing with their driver, and what they're doing with their short game. That way we can say, hey, this is where I think you're at, and this is where we can go. We have to figure out what handicap are they, what kind of, are they super beginner, are they intermediate, where are we at? That way we can start to help them lower the scores, right? I believe then I think the stat is 65% of all golf is within 100 yards. It's something crazy like that. So the short game is the fastest way we can lower their scores, the fastest way they can have more fun. And then that's gonna, kind of lead them into being happier on the golf course and getting better. Going into club performance, this is very important. Having the right set of clubs can go a long way in helping somebody play better golf. It's obviously important to get lessons. It's obviously important to hit the ball solid, but if you've got clubs that just make absolutely no sense, you're going to have a tough time. And this goes for even better players. So it's always important to make sure our clubs are, very solid. Discussing with that student that, hey, I'm not trying to put you in new expensive clubs. I'm just trying to say, hey, if we can get rid of this variable, you're going to feel so much better out there, and then we're going to be able to fix your game. Being able to describe what that does to their golf ball, right? What is having upright clubs do to that golf ball? It's going to completely change the curve of the ball. So we need to make sure that they understand that and we understand that. Being able to observe a player's swing in motion, the ball flight, and the equipment is key, right? If you're not using video these days as an instructor, you're literally in the Stone Age, because nobody can really see where the swing is. Ball flight is great, the ball doesn't lie, but if we don't know what exactly is going on in their swing that's causing that, we could have a problem. We could actually make them play a lot worse than better. And we obviously don't want that. So let's talk about these work experience activities. Now, these have changed a little bit even from when I did these 3 years ago. Work experience is always kind of a pain in the butt. It was really easy as a PGM student. I had 6 hours a week devoted to doing my work experience. So it was easy for me to get done. But these are not hard. They're really fun to do, actually. They just take a lot of time to fill out. But again, this is kind of going back to that self-assessment where we're kind of testing our skills and making sure we're keeping our tools sharp so we can help our students and help our clients and customers. So you're going to eventually assess your own equipment. We'll observe some full swing lessons. We'll take a full swing lesson, and then we're going to give a lesson. So this is kind of going in the route that you need to treat your students almost. So let's talk about assessing our own equipment. This is so overlooked for better players. And so this is really good for you guys to go through and do that. You'd be so shocked that your golf clubs are the wrong specs from when you ordered them. I have golf clubs that are 6 months old, brand spanking new from Mizuno. And I went through and measured the lie angle for them, and they weren't close. They change all the time. The softer the forging, the more they're going to move. Wedges are going to become upright more than long irons. Long irons are going to go flat. So this is going to be really fun because I think you guys are going to see that you probably do have a performance problem in your equipment, and that's the problem rather than, so in some instances, the way you're striking the ball. So this is going to be really important for you guys to do. Obviously, you guys should have access to a loft and lie machine to test this. Have fun with it, right? We're going to measure our clubs. We're going to check the swing weight, see what that does. If you actually have the chance, see if you can mess around with lie angle, change one of your clubs to the opposite lie angle and see how it affects your ball flight. This is so important so we can communicate to our students of what's going on. Obviously, it's super important to do both static and dynamic. So measure the club and then do the loft and lie angle test. It's very simple to just put a Sharpie mark vertical on your golf ball and do that. If you don't have a lie board actually isn't as effective as the Sharpie. So mess around with whatever works for you. But I think this is going to be a lot of fun for you. Observe 2 swing lessons. Pro tip, observe more than 2. Please do not just stop at 2 lessons. If you get the chance to go hang out with a PGA professional who's good at coaching and being a teacher, spend the day with them. It is worth it. You will learn so much. I really wish you guys could do this almost, a couple times a year. I still do it as a PGA pro. I teach more lessons than anybody in Sacramento, and I'm still trying to go watch, Tom Morton teach a couple lessons because I can always learn something new. What I want you guys to do is I want you guys to be very careful with where you guys place the camera and your tripod. It's very easy to set up the camera right behind the mat, centered in the mat, and that's not the best camera angle to have. I do not want to see you guys doing the CBS camera angle where they're looking more in front and it's supposed to be a down the line view. It's horrible. You can't tell anything accurately from that camera angle. You guys should be consistent. The PGA, Golftec, and most instructors will recommend that you put that camera about hand high off the ground, and on their trail hand, you're going to want to put the camera right in line with that. That way you can see the swing path more effectively than you can see the club path. We want to be able to make it consistent, and being that Golftec and the PGA are recommending it, just try to do that every time. Face on camera angle is going to be very simple. Again, we'll talk about this later, but it's just right in the middle of your belly button. That's pretty simple, okay? Make sure the sun is not blinding your camera. That would suck to film quality lessons from other pros and have it be overexposed and you can't see anything. You're only left with audio. That's not going to work. Obviously, use the highest shutter speed possible. That's a no-brainer. We want to make sure we can see every part of the swing. We don't want to have gaps or we don't have blurs. it's important to have decent lighting. So if you can do this midday, that'd be better. You'll have these worksheets that you guys are going to complete. You're going to want to have those with you so you can fill them out as your instructor is teaching his student. That is the easiest way to do that. I would recommend writing questions down on that worksheet as well, but that's all labeled out for which way is the ball starting, what did that coach do, all of that fun stuff. Then you're going to take a lesson. Pro tip, please take more than one lesson in your lifetime, right? I want you to take as many lessons from as many different people as you can so you can gain different perspectives, so you can be reminded of what it's like to be in that hot seat with a pro standing behind you. Because I swear, when it comes to my golf swing, I forget that I actually know what I'm talking about. So being able to do that is going to be awesome. You're obviously going to want to do the exact same camera setup and all that work with your worksheet as this one. They're going to be really helpful to help you guys learn what's going on in the golf swing. It starts with your golf swing, right? If you can understand your golf swing and understand how you work, you can apply that to other people and then kind of create a really good network of being able to understand what's going on. I recommend trying to get a hold of anybody who happens to be ranked in the top 100 if you can find them, or you call around and we can help you find guys that are total rock stars that'll help you do this. Then you get to give some full swing lessons. Now, when I did this, I had to do like 3 beginner lessons, part of my level 1 work experience, but this is awesome. I recommend you grab somebody that is super new to golf. It's way more fun that way. Don't grab your buddy, don't grab your dad, grab somebody that you don't even know, so you get the most experience possible, because you're going to be doing this. You probably already are doing this, right? This is the best way to learn, is to grab somebody that you don't know, ask them to help you out. You'll obviously be giving them a free lesson, but you get to kind of roll through, your structure of a lesson, from the beginning to the end of what's going on with what we're observing they're doing wrong. We're going to decide what we need to do. We're going to act on that, and then get them to do it, see if it's working. If it's working, great. If not, try something else, right? Be patient with this, only work on 1 or 2 things, and they're going to see a difference. You cannot mess this up. This is practice. This is something that is really fun. Have a lot of fun with this. This activity is really going to give you a good opportunity to test everything that you just did, right? During this lesson, you're going to be recording it, obviously, so you get to go through A to B with testing you don't have to test their equipment, but you can talk about their equipment. You can talk about how it affects their game. You can talk about the club path. You get to talk about what's going on with, the demonstrations and what kind of learner they may be, get their goals, get what they want to achieve out of this lesson. The whole 9 yards. The PGA is going to grade you really hard on how well you do your opening, your introduction, and your closing. So make sure you guys spend quality time on that. Make sure it's professional. Make sure you're just doing a good job of saying, this is what we're going to do today. Do you have any questions? Go through the limitations, all that fun stuff. But please have a lot of fun with this. This is my favorite part of my work experience that I did. Kind of going back to the camera angles, we're almost done. The one on the left here, the down the line view, that is so close to being a good camera angle. It's about 6 inches too far to the left. This guy needed to move the camera a little bit over, and it would have been perfect, but you can see it's more focused on his body than it is the club. And then the camera on the right is a perfect camera angle. It is belt high. It's in the middle of his body. We can see where he starts. We'll be able to see how much he's moved forward at impact, and we'll be able to see what he looks like when he's done. So these are good examples of camera angles to use. Please do not stand 3 feet to the right on the diagonal angle into your golfer. That is a horrible camera angle, and you will get your work experience set back to you. So that is pretty much it. This is now question and answer time. If you guys have any questions, this is my contact information. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me, email or cell. I only give my cell phone number out to PGA guys, so please use it wisely. I will answer any questions you guys may have. And thank you so much.
Tom, fantastic. Several key points I think you made, which are amazing. Can you delineate a little bit between the work experience activity and the actual testing? I think there's some confusion on which of which is taking place. What can you talk about the instruction with the level 1 work experience kit?
So you're meaning like the actual testing, so like the testing of the clubs?
No, I mean, like are you graded solely on the lesson video, and that's the
no, so you'll have 3 or 4 different, so all those things that we talked about, I'll go back to it right here. You will have different work experience activities for that, where you'll have to go through and do everything. You'll chart out your own equipment. You'll chart out what you did in the full swing lessons. Each will probably have a different activity in your portfolio that you'll be graded on. I was referencing the full swing lesson. That one was where you're giving a beginner golfer a lesson, and then you'll post that, and you'll have to talk about what you did in the portfolio. You'll talk about what you did during the lesson. I was referencing that they're pretty hard on that one in regards to if your introduction sucks, if your conclusion sucks, and then if you don't match up what you did in the lesson, right? So if you have the video of you teaching the lesson and teaching the introduction, the closing, and like what we're going to work on, if that doesn't add up to what you wrote in your portfolio, they'll send it back. Just kind of steps like that. I hope that clears it up a little bit for what I think you're asking me.
Yes. And also can you talk a little bit about the testing for
the final test, like the teaching and coaching test is what you're talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that one is heavily dependent on the accessing or testing your own equipment. So the lie and loft angle, there's a lot of math in this test. And then there's a lot of just kind of discussing what we talked about back here with being able to just distinguish the ball flight with the club head and the club face, that relationship there. Coming back up here, talking about the communication styles that work. It talks about the auditorial, visual, and physical learners. So that will definitely be on the test. Knowing the format of a golf lesson, kind of with the introduction, discussing what we're going to do, set some goals, set some outcomes, going into then the actual where we're teaching and what we're working on, and then finally the conclusion and wrapping up and giving them drills and stuff to work on. And then for the most part, learning outcomes is probably the least involved on the exam. They changed part of the exam for 3.0 from 2.0, but being able to answer the top 2 bullet points are going to get you a lot of merit on that test. Teaching and coaching is not one of the hardest tests you'll take. The manual is very small. It does a good job of outlining what we need to work on. If you can go through these work experience activities and do them with ease, or find that, measuring my clubs is easy, being able to conduct a full swing lesson with a beginner, if you can do that and have it done well, you'll do just fine on those tests for the teaching and coaching.
Now, a little more specific on your own philosophies in terms of your employment. How how involved is club fitting in your instructional platform?
Very, very involved. So the way Golftec works is that I teach 5 lessons to a student, and my goal in those 5 lessons is to work on low point, curve, and distance, mainly low point, because all I care about is that they have a pattern to their ball striking. I need them to be hitting the ball somewhat solid and somewhat near the center of the face. It does not have to be perfect, because then I can jump into, okay, are your clubs helping or are they hurting you? And then I go through and I do a club fitting with them. Now, I also do one-off club fittings, guys who don't want to take lessons and they come in and they want to get a fit. Great, awesome. Well, I would say 50% of those fittings don't even make it till the end because their golf swings are so bad. I tell them, like, I'm not going to charge you $2,000 worth of clubs. You need $1,500 worth of lessons. So we go through that, and then we try to get them to commit to getting their games better before they get new equipment. So in regards to, I'm doing, I do about 300 club fittings a year, which isn't a lot, and I'm okay with that. I'm more focused on the instruction, so I'm focusing on getting them to create new habits and kind of get rid of their old habits. Golftec is different than most. We don't offer one lesson at a time. We don't believe in that model. Just like everything else we do in our lives to learn something new, we do it every day. We work hard at it. It takes a while to be good at golf. Now, you can define what good at golf is. I don't really care. If you got a guy coming in shooting 100, which is usually the average of what we get, and they want to come in and shoot 90 by the end of that, I'm going to be quoting them somewhere in the range of 6 to 12 months worth of lessons to be able to accurately and go through and make those changes. So we kind of structure it that way. The lowest you can commit right now for me is 10 lessons. That's the lowest I'm offering, because I'm just so busy that I need to have committed clients ready to rock and roll.
Now, have you seen a change from 2.0 to 3.0 in terms of the video accessing? Obviously, every year, phones are getting better and better and better and more capable. How effective is the iPhone or the S10 with the 3 different camera lenses? I mean, if you've got it positioned at the right angle, belt high, and down the target line, are those effective video tools?
Absolutely. So when I did it, I was using a camcorder that we had to share. So that sucked. And I'm literally the next year they started, because iPhones finally had a good enough camera, and we upload these to YouTube anyway. So iPhones are great. I would recommend using them wholehearted. I would recommend using an app to capture the video, because the apps can actually slow the camera down even more than the iPhone can in some cases. But definitely use them. The problem people are going to have is that you have to make sure that the video file is good resolution, but don't make it 4K, because even if it's a 3-minute introduction that you're filming, it's going to be hard to send that. You have to upload it directly from your phone. So you have to edit it on your phone, and then you upload it into YouTube just from your phone. If you need to transfer the video to a laptop to edit it or anything else, it will not send through Apple Mail, because it'll be too big of a file. So literally do like 720 to 1080p, and make sure that you can embed the file to where it doesn't take too much space to move around. That would be my recommendation, so you guys don't have to refilm anything or redo anything.
Now what about just the 2 or 3 minute, or not even, we're talking the 30-second to 45-second video of the swing flaw, just to drive the point home to the student? That doesn't involve any uploading to YouTube.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That works. Are they still, because the way we did it to our portfolio at PGA, we uploaded it to YouTube in a embedded file, and that was still happening as of 2 years ago. So I don't know if they still have to do that, or if if it's easier to share into the portfolio. But yeah, if it's anything under a minute, no problem. Anything over a minute, you got to be careful.
And hey, Tom, this is Tom Parker. Just on you're talking about the Apple, I did my videos when I went through level 1, 2, and 3 with an an iPhone kind of deal. But I found out the first time around that I didn't have the audio set properly. So just as an FYI, I got the video, but
Yeah.
I couldn't hear the student.
Yeah.
Going, oh, darn, or oh shit, man, I got to go back and redo this because they couldn't hear me some of the times and I couldn't hear them. And just be careful of that.
A great tip, and I'm pretty sure you guys can see me, is if you have AirPods, you take one AirPod and you put it upside down so it's sticking out like this in your shirt button, and you now have a microphone in your shirt, and you just put the left earbud on your shirt and you put the right earbud on your student's shirt. You will have the best audio that you could ever ask for with doing that.
Tom, the biggest advice that you can give a level 1 associate in preparing for the teaching and coaching examinations and the work experience kit for that matter?
Yeah, so the test, read the manual twice. I could never really sit down and read the manual more than once. I hated doing it. But take those outcomes, what I kind of outlined for you today, and then get yourself the answers to them, and kind of go through the manual to find them, and then flashcard it out. I highly recommend flashcard. If you can get a practice test from somebody, they're out there. Just do that, and then be able to quiz yourself. Quizlet is a powerful tool that you can create your own flashcards. You can have them create your own test for you. It's free. I always enjoyed doing that because it kind of the way I like to study is I put myself on the spot, right? I'm not just sitting there staring at it hoping that it absorbs. I'm constantly applying it to different aspects, and I'm quizzing myself. For the work experience, everything is really detailed. It's right there in front of you for you guys to be able to do it successfully. Take your time with it. If it feels tedious, you're doing it right. If you feel like this is easy and you're putting in 1-sentence answers, you're not going to like the results when you send that in and it gets sent back to you. Be extremely detailed. Take the time to do your work experience. Like I said, with giving a lesson and taking a lesson, do it more than what they recommend. That's going to prepare you for the test as well, because you're practicing what the manual just told you to do and how to do it. The better understanding you have of actually doing it and being out there and performing, the more likely you are to understand the simple quiz question that they're going to ask you on the exam.
I got a question here from Ho Nguyen. Thank you, Ho. Ho would like to know, Tom, what were the challenges you had personally in teaching as an associate? I think referencing your Topgolf tenure.
Yeah, no, there was definitely some challenges. Topgolf loves to market for everything but instruction. So there were often times where people didn't know that they had instruction at Topgolf. I wouldn't be shocked if some of you didn't know it. And so I had to be creative. I was 21, I was young. People didn't think I knew what I was talking about, and that's fine. I would just show them that I did. But I would get creative. I would make it so I would always get a lesson. So times at Topgolf, they would get backed up 2-3 hours, but they always reserved coaching bays for me. So I would say, hey, you can wait 2 or 3 hours and then get your bay, or you can give me $200. We'll do a group lesson with the 3 of you. We'll order food and you'll get a lesson and a fun show and fun experience. So I would come up with creative ways to kind of beat the challenges that I had of me being young and them not knowing that there was instruction. There's always going to be that. I still get that today because I'm only 24. People walk in and they're like, I can just tell they're looking at me that I'm young and they don't trust me. And I always start with something simple, get their confidence up that I know what I'm doing and then I can help them play better golf. And then once you get that, it's free reign. One thing I would definitely tell all of you guys is that it is to not be shy. I've kind of gotten through my life with being a little bit more confident than maybe I should be, but I'm willing to work and learn anything I need to learn, and we'll figure this out. If I'm with a student and maybe there's a time where I don't know what to do with this guy, or maybe I'm like, I'm not sure if this is going to work, or I'm lost, we'll figure it out. I will ask for help, but just be confident that you know what you're doing or that you'll find the answer for them. People care more about that than whether you know everything about the golf swing. They just want your help.
Excellent. Colonel Tom, Ed Winecki, I know you're on here as well. Danny Moon, anybody have any comments or discussion before we sign out?
Excellent presentation, Tom. Really a lot of great material there and a lot of good insights from you on the front line. So thanks so much for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, I think that's all for the discussion points this afternoon on the teaching and coaching LaunchPad. Wanted to thank Tom Coppola for his time and expertise coming on the LaunchPad and sharing. Tremendous insight on video instruction, Golftec, preparations for the work experience kit, and also the exam as well. Tom, thank you very much for supporting the LaunchPad Associate Workshop Series. Colonel Tom, thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will be uploading this to the SCPGA website. It'll be on the LaunchPad landing page. And we'll be sending out a YouTube link of this afternoon's presentation, along with Tom's PowerPoint and contact information for associates down the road. Come across his presentation, have a question, or want to get in touch with him, they'll be able to do that through this recording. On behalf of the Education Committee.
One final comment. Just so everybody knows that's on next week, we have Anthony Lanza here next week. He's the head golf professional and golf event manager at Monarch Beach Golf Links down in Dana Point. And he's going to be talking to us about tournament operations, something everybody knows about and loves, but he's got a lot of experience at. So looking forward to his presentation next week.
Yes, he does. And Colonel, a lot of people don't know this, but Anthony and I grew up together in Covina. So we've known each other since the earth cooled. All right, guys, have a great afternoon. Thanks for supporting the LaunchPad. We'll see you soon. Take care, guys. Thanks a lot, Tom.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Tom.